Another Jeff Dubay show. It's a Tuesday. We are in the South Side studio. Tomorrow we will be out of the studio. Thankfully, we'll be back on location. I'm not going to say permanent location. There's no such thing in any business that resembles broadcasting, which is what this is. This is a business that resembles broadcasting.
But that resembles it.
Well,
I like that.
Yeah, technically, we don't broadcast. We podcast. I mean, literally, that's what we do.
Right.
The new location for Wild Wednesdays. We'll be there tomorrow. Bennett's Chop House, West 7th. I've heard nothing but great things.
You've never been?
Never been.
Oh, okay. You'll enjoy it.
It's. I've heard it's not only just the great, like one of these classic old school St. Paul places. Like kind of Mancini's, but without the mafia.
Yep.
Dark. I love the man. I mean, I thought it was the coolest thing ever when I would. That was my first state fair. Well, the only state fair I had at 1500. And it was the first day of doing the show there, and Nick Mancini went out of his way to come across the fair and say hi to me and welcome me back and brought food. And
I was gonna say bring some food.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, God, I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's the part I miss about the fair shows.
Those pig wings that they had just started doing.
Oh yeah, nice.
Isn't that what they were?
Sounds right. I think I've had them.
They're kind of like ribs, but they serve them kind of like wings. There's something like that.
Yeah, they're like pork wing.
Well, I mean, they're heaven. I mean, I would have eaten them till I died if they wouldn't have taken away. I'd be like the rat in the cage hitting the cocaine button. I mean, leave your jokes at the door. I'm talking about being addicted to chicken. I mean, I could have said or pork or whatever the hell it was. I could have eaten it all day. But anyway,
enough about the competitor down the street.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm sure they're all, St. Paul.
I know.
They're all buddies. But we start Wild Wednesdays at Bennett's. That starts tomorrow. And I've heard it's between the clientele and the management. It's a college hockey crowd. It's a college hockey vibe. And unfortunately, there's some Bulldog fans in the house. Yeah,
I feel like the UMD goes there when they come down here for tournaments and stuff. They always go there for dinner, I believe.
Well, Scott Sandlin is going to be on, not tomorrow's show, but he's going to be on one of the following 2 Wednesdays. Now, he won't be live from Bennett's. I mean, the interview will be played while we're at Bennett's. But he will be on the phone or via Skype, I guess is how we're going to do it. Tomorrow, Bob Motzko, St. Cloud State head coach, will be on a Wild Wednesday to talk a little puck with the boys. Actually, I don't know if he'll be able to talk with the boys. It might just be with me. But nonetheless, he's on the Wild Wednesday program tomorrow. If you're in St. Paul, swing by Bennett's and support the cause. And just check out another cool. There's cool old school places in St. Paul.
And they've got great food down there, so come down and get some food.
Any place that calls themselves a chop house, It's hard to go wrong. Don't go in there and get the vegan special.
Right.
It's just
if you're a vegetarian, I mean, you can still come. If
you're a vegetarian, kill yourself. I mean,
jeez.
It's just get it over with. You like these people who jog 8 miles a day until they're 70 and eat egg white, whatever, frittata, and the people who take care of themselves and then. Their heart explodes, or they step off a curb and I run them over. I mean, it's just shit happens, and
and that's life right there. Is you run them over? Eating a gummy worm, like a sour gummy worm, like we are here in the studios.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idiots who don't typically get the damage. It's the people who are trying to be so careful all the time. They get damaged by the idiots. So I don't know.
I'm jealous of the people that care that much about themselves, though. That they take that good of care about themselves.
Oh, God,
don't you have to have an ego that is even bigger than ours? I mean,
well,
to think you're that special and that important to keep your body up that well. To me, there's something. And to me, that's cool. Like you really like yourself that much.
Well, but it doesn't do any good. It doesn't lengthen your life. I mean, you can
not exercising at all versus exercising.
Well, sure,
yeah, but you're right. But yeah, I mean, if you stay relatively healthy versus super healthy, I'm not sure where the real difference there is.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's mostly done for vanity reasons and vanity purposes. And when I say vanity, it's not just people want to look good. I think they honestly do try to extend their lives just because they're so important that the world.
Yeah. So again, see how much they love themselves. Yeah. I'm jealous.
Well, it's the whole workout thing. It doesn't make a lot. As a matter of fact, there's a stand-up comedian. I don't think it was Seinfeld, but it was a biggie who kind of had a bit about this. It's like everywhere you look, people are training. But what are they training for? They're training so they can train. You work out so you can work out some more. You're working out to get train. Yeah, you're getting in shape so you can really work out. And everything that people do in a gym is just basically a simulation of life. I mean, you're pretending to walk up some stairs. You're pretending to jog. You're pretending to ski, cross country. You're pretending. Every machine in there is basically fantasy land.
Well, it's stuff that you should just go do. Yeah,
Yeah, go
get
book-
off
book
your
up
ass
some
and actually
stairs.
go do it.
I mean, there's stairs everywhere. Like, you don't need a Stairmaster. Fucking go to the IDS, knock yourself out. I mean,
Go hit a football stadium or like a high school
yes.
football stadium.
I mean,
Boom, there's your
Stairmaster's
stairs.
the dumbest thing in the world. I mean, we're in Minnesota, so conveyor belt. Yeah, you got to jog inside once in a while. Okay, fine, whatever.
The hardcore still jog all year round though. Those guys, and again, those are the ones that really love themselves.
Well, and the other thing too is, I mean, jogging comes with a price. I mean, well, number one, it comes with a lot of prices. You got to wear shorts that your nutsack basically hangs out of. You have to shit yourself if you're going to run more than 10 miles. You have to be willing to shit yourself in full stride. It's no joke. Marathon runners shit themselves without slowing down.
So gross.
And you have to be the fact that you've got to commit to that before you ever put the number on your chest. I mean, you got to be. I'm not saying you're gonna, but you've got to be willing. You've got to be running past the hottest chicks down in front of the cathedral, and you got to be willing to just drop that deuce right in the middle of Kellogg. It is what it is. It's a commitment to excrement that I cannot possibly fathom making sober.
I don't think your morning joggers are doing that, but yeah, that is something that the truly committed do, and it is disgusting.
But when it comes to the the whole workout thing, it's just I mean, I had a membership to Lifetime when I was working at the Fan, and everything was duckies and bunnies, blah blah blah. And I would go. I had a stretch, for a few months. I'm there like 4 days a week, and I'm doing an hour of cardio, and I'm shooting around, little pickup hoops, whatever. And this natural high, this thing. I think once you've been a drug addict and actually been high, this natural high is a bunch of shit. I've never. The things that make other people feel good don't make me feel good. They just don't. I mean, don't you feel good if you're working out? No, I'm fucking tired.
See, I've never experienced that runner's high that I think you're specifically maybe getting at too, where those guys where they talk after they've run that third or fourth mile, it's just like a buzz or whatever. I've never had that, but the post-workout, that soreness after you did something good for yourself, there is something to that feeling that is a good feeling.
What, it takes me like a good hour and a half to rub one out, and my right arm is sore, and did a couple other things are a little chapped. That's
exactly what I'm talking about.
That's when it's Miller time. But the whole workout thing I never got. Oh, I mean, God bless. I'm not in AA, but when I was starting to try to get sober, I was going to meetings, 90 and all that stuff. And the guy who was sponsoring me, he's one of my best friends in the world. God bless him. Just a superhuman being over 30 years. And we'd walk out of the meetings, and he'd just be ready to conquer the world. Don't you always feel better coming out of a meeting? And I'd come out thinking, fuck no. I mean,
no, those would seem depressing to me.
Yes,
actually,
they were annoying to me. They were
because you had to be there, or what about them was annoying?
Just
what do you mean?
Well, just there's so much. No, I don't want to get into a debate about this stuff because I mean the whole program, the fellowship, whatever you want to call it, it is without any argument whatsoever saved millions of lives, and I would never even begin to debate that.
No, I think we're calling it a positive.
But if you want to sit down and read like the blue book, not the stories, but the stuff in the front that tells you that, basically all the conclusions they've come to and the things that they have to do. There's so much like just circular logic and just mind bleeping yourself in there. That's just like I'm not like I would come out just saying I couldn't take it. I couldn't.
Is it one of those things where you can go, oh, I get why this would work for some people, but
Yes.
it just does not work for me?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're oh yeah, because you're smarter than the rest of us.
Exactly.
Well, kind of.
Now
kind
you're better.
Yeah, I mean,
But
kind of a little
yes.
bit. Because I'm not going to wake up in the morning and ask God what to have for breakfast. Maybe I am maybe just a little tiny bit smarter than you. Over easy, God. You kind of fucked him up yesterday. I mean, like that's what they were telling me. You got you can't run a life. You can't make any decisions. All of your decisions are going to be made by God. I was like, okay, I'm going to go put my feet up over here, and He can fucking call me. I mean, how do you give God make decisions for you? I mean, would you get a magic 8-ball and just fucking?
Well, aren't you absolving yourself of responsibility a little bit?
Well, I think that's what a lot of of your quote unquote diehard Christians, they just they accept horrible tragedies as God's fate, and I mean, God bless them for their peace of mind, and being able to roll with it.
Again, jealous. I mean, to be able to look at tragedy and horrible things in your lives and just go, well, that's just His plan. I mean, that's a great way to be able to go through life.
It is. I mean, I don't know that I can completely get married to it.
No, I can't subscribe to it, but I am envious.
Yeah, but I don't believe in karma either. But I mean, anyway, we're going to another.
Wow, this was a fun one.
Yeah, this has gotten weird. It's gotten weird already. I mean, we got a few things to talk about today, but we're not packed. I mean, The Twins reported, so we're going to talk a little baseball, but we're not going to break it down hardcore with our boys Brandon Warren and Ted Schwetzler, and we're just not quite ready to start. I mean, they're ready to start. They're dying.
I'm sure they're chomping.
They
at
would
the
have
bit.
started Twins Tuesday at Christmas time. I mean, it's
And I think they have enough info they could have, which is actually scary.
Well, let's hold off here because what you and I are going to have to do. I mean, these are good baseball guys. They're knowledgeable guys. They're easy, to get along with guys. But we've got, the longest professional sports season that exists, and we're going to be doing a show with them once a week throughout the entire thing. I mean, there's a lot of shows, a lot of hours, and these guys know a lot of numbers. And yeah, they could have plenty of material to fill all this, but they could also just have people putting guns in their mouth. I mean, you start hearing about, all the. I mean, don't get me wrong. They both dialed back. I don't know about Brandon if he was ever huge metrics guy. I'm sorry, if Ted was ever a big metrics guy. Brandon was a huge sabermetrics guy and advanced statistical analysis. And you should be to an extent. I mean, if somebody is showing you, a statistical breakdown of how something happens, I don't think you should mindlessly buy into it 100%, but I think you'd be equally as foolish to discard it. I mean, just like anything in life, there are things about sabermetrics that make sense, and some of it's just a bunch of bullshit. I mean, and there are people out there who, didn't spend a lifetime in baseball learning the game, and now they've all tried to take their shortcut. When this whole sabermetrics thing came into vogue, they all jumped on board and learned it in a fucking week, and now they're all baseball experts. And I don't mean our guys. I just mean these. I mean, you got people out there just spewing shit out of their mouths about baseball based on numbers, and these people didn't watch a game until they're 25, and then they thought, hey, well, now I can just do it with math. I mean,
and the scary thing about baseball is how important the math is in it. We were just talking about this before the show off air about how there's an eye test though too. I mean, you can look at a baseball player versus another one, and you know which one is better, but the numbers are important. Yeah. And I heard this is one of the scariest things I've ever read the other day. It was talking about how now they're taking baseball players at a young age and putting them on, doing like a test on a computer with the screen, and it's basically deciding how quickly they can tell a curveball versus a slider versus fastball. It's all about your reaction to a dot.
Yep. You're looking for a spin. You're looking for the laces form patterns. It
blows
blows my mind.
And it is crazy because if you do see that red dot earlier, you know it's a slider earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, that does matter.
I don't know how any human being can do it, though. I really don't. I mean, how long does it take a pitch to get to home plate? A second and a half? And you have 0.6 to decide whether you want to swing? And you're looking for a red fucking dot?
Yeah, I don't think it's a thought process. I think it's more of your body sees red dot and reacts. It's not even you literally don't have time for your synapses to fire.
I think the red dot is something that really good hitters made up to sound cool.
Really?
And then none of them believed it, but they never wanted to admit that they didn't see it. It's like, hey, Puck, you see that red dot?
You can't be the first guy.
Man, I saw the red dot. You see the red? Yeah, I saw the red dot. So I can't believe there's human beings picking a fucking red dot pattern out of the spin of the baseballs that is coming in at an 85 mile an hour slider from a big league pitcher. I don't get it. People can do shit that just doesn't make sense to me. But let's get our first break, and we'll be back.
The Rusty Gatenby Review is the entertaining show about entertainment from movies, music, and more. Award-winning TV guy Rusty Gatenby and his review is the podcast with the biggest cast in entertainment, part of the Alive and Social Network. You can get that Minnesota connection to Hollywood and beyond any time of the day or night simply by clicking on the RustyGatenbyReview.com. That's the RustyGatenbyReview.com, part of the Alive and Social Network.
I do want to do due diligence to the NCHC Frozen Face-Off, not just because they are a client of ours, but it is a fantastic event. And it is going to be at the Target Center. It's March 20th to 21st. And they've got some fantastic deals right now. Full session ticket packages for all 4 games start as low as $60. And they will have single game tickets going on sale February 23rd. You can call 1-888-9-AXSTIX. AXSTIX. Or go to TargetCenter.com. Go to the Target Center box office. It's going to be a great event. They've also got, this fan fest going on. They're going to have live bands. They're going to shut down part of First Ave there and have bands on the street. We're going to be podcasting live as part of the event. And if you are coming from out of town, which, obviously, the University of Minnesota is no longer in it, so most of the fans who come here are going to be traveling, whether it's from Grand Forks, St. Cloud, Duluth, Miami, of Ohio, Denver University, whatever, you're going to want a hotel room. And obviously, there's a wealth of hotel rooms in downtown Minneapolis. As great as a venue as the X was for these events, downtown Minneapolis has got so much more going on, so many more hotel rooms. And if you go to my Twitter account, or my Facebook account, you will find a post or a tweet that shows the NCHC Frozen Face-Off coming March 20th, 21st, and where you can go to book discounted hotel rooms, because the NCHC got together with the Chamber of Commerce and the hotels and put together some packages where folks can get a break on hotel rooms. Just tell them you're coming for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. But you'll see the link on my Twitter account and my Facebook account. Just click on it, and they'll lead you right to discounted hotels, which should be a fantastic, fantastic event.
Hi, everybody. This is Alyssa.
And this is Liz.
And we're with the Focus Radio,
where our focus is to bring you resources to grow your business and double your income.
Join us on Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Time. TheFocusRadio.com.
When I get to the bottom, I go back to the top of the slide. Where I stop and I turn and I go for a ride. Till I get to the bottom and I see you again.
Well, for me, a Thursday.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I got nothing to do. I just don't find trouble. Nothing but trouble. It's 4-day weekend.
Idle hands.
I'm telling you right now, my 4-day weekends have aged me 20 years and 6 months. It's got to change. We need more sponsors. We need more shows. I need more responsibility. I need less free time. No, I shouldn't say stuff like that. When I say stuff like that, there are people out there like legitimately, oh God, yes, he's had it.
Oh no! Oh, come on!
No, but I mean that's
no, not you. I mean those people.
I know, but I mean that's. I mean, and I guess maybe there are warning signs for some or most, whatever. It's just a joke, everybody. It's just a joke, and it really wouldn't be Miller time. It would be O'Doul's time. I hope that makes everybody feel better. Well, what were we even talking about when I said that? Then it's Miller time.
Yeah, do you need a beer? Have you?
No,
you don't really drink. But
no, we were talking about something in the first segment. I've already completed. I have early onset dementia. No, I do. I mean, that was 5 minutes ago.
I can't remember either, and I do remember you saying it.
And we laughed. It was. Man, see, you just
can't remember what the reaction was too. No idea.
You know what it is? You get to the point where you're an old. Those applause machines from the 70s and 80s sitcoms. That's what you are. You just, it's like watching MASH. I love MASH, and I watched it as a kid, but I'm seeing them walking around outside with mountains and shit, and I'm hearing an audience laugh. I'm like, what the? Why did they put a laugh track in there? What, do they think there's like a tent of people just sitting there like cracking up at jokes? I mean,
never would have thought of the outdoor laugh track. But you're right. Where there's just a crowd following you around, laughing at what you're doing.
I mean, we're not idiots. When we watch TV, we know the Cosby Show is live in front of a studio audience. We know 30 Rock is not. We know where there's audience. You don't have to put an audience in MASH. We know there's not one there.
Why is there something to the fact that we need it, though? Like, it matters to us. When you're watching a comedy, it's funnier if there's other... Like, if you go to a movie in the theater and there's other people laughing around you, it makes it funnier to you. What is that about the shared experience?
I was watching season 1 of MASH on Netflix the other day, because the first 3 seasons of MASH are the best 3 seasons of situation comedy in the history of television. I mean, they're phenomenal. The first 3 seasons, and then it gets a little preachy and whiny and liberal. But I mean, Alan Alda, it is what it is.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. He's a comic genius, but I mean, he's a little bit of a bleeding heart. But anyway, I digress again. I'm watching the first season of MASH, and the reason that the laugh track thing came to my mind is because it sounded so weird. I'm not even convinced it's a recording of a crowd. It almost sounds like a bag of screeching cats being thrown out of a window of a... I mean, I'm telling you, it's the next time you watch MASH, or dial up a MASH episode on Netflix, and listen for it does not sound like a crowd. It comes kind of like a whoosh. It kind of like a wave. It kind of goes over you.
So it's like artificially made laughter? Is that kind of what you're trying to say?
It's like white noise that kind of rises and then goes down. It's a really weird sound. It's like it is to like a real live audience what like AstroTurf originally was to grass when they're like in the 60s and 70s when people were breaking their legs young.
Yeah.
I mean that's basic. I mean that's basically the comparison I can make. I mean it was 1973. I mean, maybe laugh tracks have made some advancements.
You record a room during a stand-up comic, and then you take the different types of laughs.
Wait a second.
Not a hard thing to do.
During a stand-up comic or during Alex Cole? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's 1973. It's not the Stone Age.
Well, the 70s sucked, right? So isn't that kind of part of it? That's just another thing that sucked in the 70s?
Well, I don't think they said, fuck this decade. We'll get some good laugh tracks. We'll get some good laugh tracks in the 80s. We'll bring Cosby back in the 80s. We'll get a laugh track for that. It'll be fucking awesome. But fuck the 70s.
Well, that's what they did with their music in a lot of ways.
Oh, come on, Led Zeppelin.
No, but disco? I mean, come on.
Oh, by the way, have you seen this thing on Facebook? It's unbelievable.
The xylophone?
Yeah, the xylophone cover of Kashmir. That's amazing.
And the ocean and something else? Yes, it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. It is. I wonder how high those kids were when they did that. No, I'm just kidding. But they're like 10. I know. But if that's fucking amazing. They have the coolest music teacher ever.
Yes.
They go to the School of Rock.
No, everybody go to YouTube right now and put in Led Zeppelin xylophone.
It's not even nerdy. It's not even nerdy that they're on xylophones.
No, it doesn't sound. It sounds cool too. It doesn't sound geeky.
No, it's a lot of xylophones. I mean, there's all kinds.
You've got 25 kids in there, I think, playing
I
different instruments, different xylophones.
But I mean, anybody knows the song Kashmir. I mean, it's got all the different layers. It's got it's even got like a couple of kids on lead vocal, but they're not singing. They're like chiming it out.
Yep.
So it's got everything. It's unbelievable.
And they even like do the little breakdown in Kashmir, which is that.
Yeah.
Din,
oh yeah.
Din.
It's
din.
Yes.
Din. It's so crazy.
It must be like an advanced orchestra or something. But it also must
so.
be a music teacher like that just like smokes hash or you pot brownies in the
on the way
lounge.
to class. Yeah.
He's got like a doobie rolled up behind his ear. I mean, they might want to look in the music teacher's locker.
But don't stop him from doing what he's doing otherwise.
No, there's nothing wrong with that either.
The kids gotta love it.
A little doobie behind your ear. Never hurt anybody. But I'm really advocating drug use and alcohol today for some reason.
Drink them and smoke them if you got them, I guess.
Apparently. But we mentioned in the first segment, we'll talk, Twins more in depth when the baseball. We should call it the Baseball Nerds. That would be a better show title than Twins Tuesday, don't you think?
I like it. Yeah, because we've already got the alliteration Wild Wednesday. We could just do the Baseball Nerds, the Baseball Geeks.
Well, then we might as well just do it any old fucking day.
That's true, too.
It's a day with a T, and that's an opportunity missed. I think we're either sticking with Twins Tuesday or we're moving it to Monday. It's either Baseball Nerds on a Monday or it's Twins Tuesday. Those are the two options. But anyway, I mean, when I say Baseball Nerds, I mean that lovingly. I mean, Brandon and Ted. For one thing, if you're going to really get into baseball, you got to. It's like getting into Lord of the Rings. You can't get into Lord of the Rings a little bit. If you're in, you're a nerd. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you know who Frodo Baggins is, go outside for a while. I mean, get some sun. Get
out of the basement.
I mean, but that's sex. I mean, I know who he is. I guess he's become mainstream enough that we know who he is. But I mean, there's no way.
If you love that, you're kind of a geek.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got like a poster of an orc on your bedroom wall, and the fact that I know what an orc is not speaking well for me at the moment.
You're really kind of crushing your own credibility here.
But I mean, it's kind of if you really want to be a baseball guy, then you can't be a part-time baseball guy. You can't. That's what the sabermetrics people want. They can just be. Oh, hand me the numbers. Yeah,
just box score it.
Yeah, I mean, they think they can shortcut it, and you just can't. But anyway,
no, because you really in baseball you can learn a lot by looking at a box score, and I know that the sabermetrics guys are doing way more than that. But even when you just look at a box score, you do not know how that game went. You do not know how the pitching really went. You do not know why the guy was taken out at what point. There's so much to learn. But that you can't look or can't get from a box score.
Well, but you mentioned the beauty of it earlier, and this is why baseball is the only perfect game. I mean, it is the only perfect sport, and it's not my favorite sport. I mean, I enjoy watching football and hockey more. I think baseball is the best sport. It's the fairest. It's the one that makes the most sense. It's the one you deserve what you get. And
the least influenced by the referees and officials too. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, certainly umpires drive the
umpire behind
zone.
the plate, but still.
Yeah, I mean, strike zone when you get used to whoever's back there. You know what he's giving you and what he's not by the end of the first, second inning. So yeah, I mean, there's a reason they play 162 fucking games. I mean, think about that schedule. That's 162 games. There's a reason they do that because if they didn't, this shortstop who hits 230. If you played 80 games, that shortstop might hit 340 because he got fucking hot for a month and a half.
Isn't Kurt Suzuki your perfect example of what you're talking about?
Well, but I mean, he made it through the season.
Well, but for the first half he hit crazy, and then he hit like a 180 the second.
But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. A 300 hitter doesn't hit 300 every month. He hits 250 one month. He hits 350 another month. I mean, it just all. But I mean, the beauty of it is. You sit here and see little bleeding hits, little senile shit, and bloopers off, little stuff off the fist. But over 162 games, it all comes out in the wash. I mean,
that's true.
You'll hit some atom balls.
It's the opposite of football.
I mean, yeah, you'll hit some just ropes at people. And here's the thing, and I don't know how Abner Doubleday. I mean, I know that there's been a lot of changes to baseball since he. I don't know how roughly he outlined it or how specifically he tasked it. But to think that like 100 years ago, they knew basically how far away you had to put the bases so somebody who hits a ground ball to one of the infielders is not going to, unless he's freakishly fast or it's a difficult play, he's not going to be able to get to first base before the ball. I mean, if you want to get a hit, for the most part, you got to hit it to the outfield. And if you want to get more than a single, you're going to have to hit it past the outfielders. I mean, it all just makes sense. It all just kind of fits. And it's if you hit a ground ball to one of the infielders, that base is just far enough away where you're going to just not quite make it.
And to where even cooler, it makes it where it's probably an error if you are safe. So it is. It is perfect in every way.
It is. And each team is getting their turn. I mean, there is something. I mean, we got into this, what's sports, what's not sports, and I say anything that has a judge isn't a sport. But if you really want to break it down, anything that has a clock, I have a problem with. Because, I mean, like, you look at golf. You got 18 holes, you go out and you play. Baseball. Hey, we take our 9, you take your 9, you take our 27 outs, your 27 outs, and we'll see who's winning at the end. Football, baseball, basketball. These are not, I still have difficulty with the fact that the winner of a game is nothing more than somebody who's got the lead at this randomly selected predetermined time. I mean, what's so special about 48 minutes? What's so special about 40 minutes? What's so special about 60 minutes? I mean, they basically. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's unfair. I mean, before the kickoff, before the tip, before the face-off, when what the score is at the end of the game is. You get it. I mean, you know where the finality comes.
Right, and obviously you understand that everybody knows a football game is 60 minutes, so they know when it is.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. There's no real finality other than an arbitrary number.
It's just they arbitrarily picked a time and said, okay, whoever's winning then, whoever's doing better at that point. I mean, how many times have you seen? A basketball game, football game, where your team leads wire to wire, and on the last play of the game, they give it up.
Yeah.
And they trailed for 1 second. It's like, how the fuck are we the loser?
Right.
You've got to come up with a new determination. I mean, there's no way we're the loser of that game. I mean, just because at this one little point in time we weren't ahead, we were ahead at all these points in time, way more points. So, I mean, there really is a fundamental flaw. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love football. I love hockey. I love college basketball. The NBA could, fall into the ocean. I wouldn't give a shit. But I mean, there is a fundamental flaw in any sport that's timed. It's just another reason why baseball is the perfect sport.
No,
a million reasons.
And baseball is so perfect because it's so beautiful too. I mean, it's just so it's so laid back. I do. I love it. Is poetic. I love baseball in every way like that. And it's the summer. It's the boys of summer sport too. It's just everything about it makes it the best.
Now you're gonna go a little fruity.
Well, maybe I can take in all kinds of directions.
Keep going. I'm eating a
gummy
bear.
Well, yeah, no. Now you want to eat a gummy bear.
Got
Well, if you want to go back to Twins, we can. But you bashed the NBA. But our man is back, and now I mean the Timberwolves' problems are solved now that you got Kevin Garnett.
Well,
I mean, I don't know how you could possibly have anything against the NBA right now. Well, this is the greatest time to be a Timberwolves fan.
you know what? Timberwolves fans got more excited about this than I thought they would.
It's sold out.
I know.
I mean, I'm going, but still, it's sold out.
But you know what? It's going to be a good moment. I mean, it's going to be a good moment. I mean, I still think he was a dick when he left. I mean,
I was one of the guys that was pissed when he left too. A lot of people I know were all supportive and said he didn't have a chance here.
Well, of course, no. I mean, in hindsight, being 2020, he did the right thing. He did what he had to do. He had to get out of here, and he had to win a title. I don't blame him for it. But I mean, he's still kind of a dick about it. I mean, Ray Bork left Boston with nothing but class and went to Colorado. After 20 fucking years, he got his name on the cup before he retired.
Yep. No,
but I mean, he didn't say "fuck you, Boston." You guys, I had your back.
Did he say this one's for Boston? Because at least KG did do that. He did say this one's for soda. That was like the first thing he said, which is pretty cool. You don't remember that?
No, I don't.
He said this one's for soda. That was what he first said.
Soda. I hate that.
Well, I mean, he's KG. He's got his own little way of talking about everybody. But
I mean, we're talking about. I mean, so when this happened, I mean, he's been used up for a couple of years. I mean, he
is a shell of himself. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I understand that. But I mean, the article, the day of the paper, the day after the press conference, said he might play 2 more years, and I'm thinking. 2 more years of what?
Yeah, I mean, 5 minutes a game.
No, I mean like bowling. 2 years of lacrosse.
What sport? You mean?
Well, yes, he can't play 2 years of basketball. But I mean, here's why this move is not only not criticizable, but it's there's positive benefits. Number one, you traded away a guy that didn't matter. I mean, he was a tweener. He didn't have a future as a power forward, and you didn't want to have to pay him what you're going to have to pay him if you're going to keep him. So it's just get him out of here. So he's not in the plans anyway. Secondly, you get a locker room influence, and this is what's really underrated. He's renowned as being as competitive a practice player as you're going to find. And that's, in all honesty, that competition in practice, competition for spots, guys who actually make you work and practice. That's invaluable, especially if it's your best player, which at one point obviously he was.
And he did say today in the press conference that he is coming here to
buy
help.
the team, and
he wants to be an owner too. I know.
I mean,
and that's cool. I like that. I would like KG to be the owner here, and any different owner.
But he's black. Jesus. I'm just, I'm kidding.
Hey, I will. God, no, but wow, that would have sounded okay. Just with context, please. But I was going to say anyone would be better than Glenn Taylor, but that sounds really bad after you just said, well, just the black guy's going to take it. But no, I mean anybody would be so much better than Glenn Taylor. I would love KG to own this team.
Well, and KG and Flip are tight. They always have been tight. And he's got a good relationship with Glenn Taylor.
But do you think he'll help the kids?
Yeah, I do. But I don't know that anybody could have given Kevin Love a proper attitude adjustment. But if anybody could have wiped the smug California off his face, it might have been Mr. Mean Streets of Chicago.
KG would have beat the shit out of him at one point. I mean, he would have hit him.
I think he might have,
and that would have been awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. You're getting him for nothing. You're bringing him in for nothing, and basically what you're doing is you're allowing him to finish his playing career here and then transition gracefully in the front office and ownership. A la Jordan.
The guy you gave up was a guy who was on an expiring contract and wasn't going to stay here. I mean,
right.
For once, it seems like a completely rational decision by the Timberwolves. I mean, what the hell's going on?
It's completely harmless, and it's got a PR upside that is huge. It's got a future for KG that's huge.
Do we know when the last time they sold out a game at Target Center was?
It's probably a high school hockey playoff.
When was the last time the Wolves would have sold that thing out? It had to have been a long time ago, I would have thought.
Yeah, I would think so. But
playoffs, maybe? I mean, that's a long time.
That's 90s, isn't it? Jesus.
Well, 03 was the big run, wasn't it? 04?
Yeah, I don't even remember. I mean, it's all just a blur to me.
I know I'm not a basketball fan, but you really are not a basketball fan.
I just don't remember dates very well anymore. I think it's all the drugs, man. I'm like Tommy Chong living in the photo hut and then the 70s show.
I guess you always have that to blame now. You
photo huts.
Lean on
How
that.
cool is that? Think about that. A little shack in the parking lot mall where you buy film and drop off film. I mean, come on. You can't make that shit up.
Oh, God.
You can't make that shit up. So we eventually here can get to a little Twins talk. And we're not going to get into a lot of it here. Like I said, the hardcore breaking down, we're going to leave to the resident nerds, Brandon Warren and Ted Schwetzler, and mediate, much like I do on Wild Wednesday. Although I don't think these two will go at each other the way Schweitz and Tony do. I mean,
no, I'm afraid it might be a little too friendly. I think you and I are going to have to instigate.
Well, it'll be nerd fights. I mean,
they'll be battling numbers, won't they?
Well, Schweitz and Tony, they're tough East Side guys. Tony's a Marine. He's a law enforcement officer. Scott, he's just punk-nosed Hill Murray kid from the East Side. Brandon and Ted, they'll be like having slap fights. And they'll be kicking each other. It'll be embarrassing. They'll be skin under fingernails. It'll be awful.
No, I see like Twitter fights. I see Facebook fights. I don't see any actual on-air fights.
Oh, are you kidding? These two they're gonna love each other. I could see a Twitter marriage, but just basically it's just a few points on the Twins, and it's all about pitching, because that's really all that ultimately matters. I mean, I know it's not all that matters, but it is 90% of what matters, and I'm talking about the starting rotation. Now, people want to get all up in Terry Ryan's face, and he did this. He spends all this money on Nolasco, blah blah blah. But if you want to make an honest assessment of a move or a guy's mindset, you've got to put yourself in the moment and not use your advantages of 20/20 hindsight and the perspective it allows you. When he went out and signed Ricky Nolasco, I mean, do you understand what he did, people? He went out and got one of the top 3 starting pitchers in free agency and gave him the biggest contract in the history of Twins baseball, because Ricky Nolasco is a bell cow. He's an innings eater. He's a top of the rotation. Not an ace, but a 2 or a 3 guy who's going to go out there and give you 6-7 innings on a every 5-day basis, and rest your bullpen and give your hitters a chance and throw. I mean, he's just one of those guys, and he's going to do it with an ERA that's maybe going to be right around 4. Hopefully he's just on the south side of 4, and you're winning, in the low to mid teens and have a winning record. That's who Ricky Nolasco is. And when the Twins brought him here, They brought him here for innings. I mean, that was. And I mean, they're not just. People say innings are overrated, but they're not because they're only innings if they're good innings. I mean, if you're out there getting your ass kicked, you're not getting innings.
Right, you're not in there if it's 9-0.
I mean, people. Well, I mean, sometimes you take one for the team because the bullpen shot. That's just the rare exception.
But that's because other guys already screwed up before you. That doesn't happen just every other game.
Like when a starting pitcher is finishing the year with 150 innings instead of 200 innings, it's because the innings weren't good enough to get any more. So I mean, when you see a guy who's not giving you innings, it's a problem. I mean, then obviously it trickles down. It wears out the bullpen. It demoralizes a team. It does a lot of things. But Nolasco was brought here for innings because our bullpen had been taxed to the max for 2 years. I mean, just thrown to the wolves, by a starting rotation that barely probably averaged 4 innings a start. I mean, it's just
awful.
I mean, just embarrassing. So Nolasco was brought here specifically to eat innings and take load off that bullpen. And the Twins sold the hell out of that. And in hindsight, I got to believe they have a little regret that I mean, it was just innings. I mean, it's like like how the adults on Charlie Brown are womp womp womp.
Yeah.
Every front office guy at Target Field for a week. It's innings. I mean, there wasn't another word. Innings. So when Nolasco tears something in his elbow or whatever the fuck it was, and he knows he's hurt. He's like, Jesus Christ! They just made me the innings king of North America.
I'm supposed to pitch 300 innings this season, and now I'm hurt.
Yeah, so here's May, and I'm supposed to tell him I got a fucking bad wing. So he sits on it. I mean, he tries to bulldog and pitch through it. Now some guys hide an injury for selfish reasons. Some guys hide it because it's like there's a week to go in spring training, and they want to make the big league club, and then they'll go right on the DL. When you see that, that's a shitty thing to do.
Yep.
But it happens. But Nolasco hit it. You never want a guy to hide it. I mean, I'm not going to say he did the right thing. But he did the wrong thing for the right reasons because he knew he was being relied on, and he knew that there was a lot expected of him, and he knew that that Terry invested a lot in him, in terms of money and goodwill.
He's a veteran though. Don't you have to be smarter than that? Don't you have to know that this isn't about this year, especially last year when you're playing for the Twins? I mean,
but again, he's here really for that one big reason, and this is a guy who'd been healthy his whole career, so maybe
maybe that too. He doesn't know what to do with an injury.
Yeah, he might have just thought this is something I could pitch through, and it just got to the point where he couldn't. So people say, "Oh, yeah, you finally go and do something." He's fucking Nolasco. But I mean, at the time, it was a very astute move, and it was also a very aggressive move. It's the kind of move that the Twins don't typically make. The Twins, for years, sit on the sideline and watch the other team spend. And in the last couple of years, they go up there and they get Phil Hughes and Ricky Nolasco and Irvin Santana. And I mean, and you just have a situation where Nolasco, gets hurt for the first time in 8 years and doesn't give the innings that he's supposed to give. I mean, you have Pelfrey. People can rip all they want about Pelfrey. But anybody who follows baseball, and you watch these guys on Tommy John, coming back from Tommy John surgery, that first year, they get knocked around. And it's not that they're not throwing. They're throwing hard. And Pelfrey was throwing harder 2 years ago. He's throwing harder 2 years ago than he was before his injury. I mean, he's humping it up to 95, which is good. I mean, that's heat for a sinker baller. Yeah. I mean, that's big-time heat. And you could see the arm strength was coming back, and he hit a stretch, which is, again, very typical. It fits right into the recovery template for this surgery. He hit a stretch like in the middle to just past the middle part of the season, like July-ish, where he just tore it up. And it's like, okay, this is why you have to sign him next year. The whole thing didn't make sense to me to begin with because they signed him for 1 year off Tommy John surgery. It's like, well, that's
the
dumb.
Dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, because you're going to take the lumps for a year, and then he's going to go somewhere and do well. And that was the last thing I wanted to see. And I thought, coming out of the All-Star break and into the second half of the season, you saw the indications from Pelfrey that, okay, this is what they're going to get if they make another commitment to him, but they shouldn't have had to. They should have been smart enough to make it a 2-year deal out of the original, but whatever. I thought they did I think baseball people universally would tell you that they did the right thing by retaining Pelfrey. Pelfrey's a guy who wanted to be here, for one thing. I mean, loves it here. And he's a solid clubhouse guy. He is another one of those bell cow guys that the kids can follow, and he can give you innings and do all these things. And he just showed promise coming off his first year from Tommy John surgery. Everything points in that direction, and he shits the bed. I mean that's Terry Ryan's job to know. Well, no, it's not. It's Terry Ryan's job to take the best available information that he has and make what is a right decision based on that, not on the potential of a fluke circumstance down the road or something turning sideways that you just can't foresee.
No, I mean what you're saying is almost like you're going to know that Albert Pujols was going to fall off the second he got traded. I mean, you can never predict that Pelfrey's going to have that July and then not have a follow up.
Yeah, I mean,
it is. I'm not a Terry Ryan guy. I think it's easy to bash him, but what you're talking about are things that you cannot bash him for, and especially we love to bash the Twins for not being aggressive. So you can't turn around and then when they're finally aggressive, get pissed. I mean,
and here's the thing too: if we and Suhan could do this really well, Sinker could do this really well. We should get Sink on the show too. We had him on our old show. He is a sports encyclopedia. I mean, talk about a sports nerd. Howard, and he's a great guy. But we got to get Sink on the show because we consider you could, if you chronicled the '90s, the moves he made, it would blow your mind. I mean, it just goes to the short memory of the Minnesota sports fan. I mean, and what he did, like in the late '90s, just picking up spare parts from other teams and then trading them off for like key cogs. Like he'd get these veterans at the end of their career that could come in and be a good clubhouse guy and give you a good few months, and then you could unload him to like Roberto Kelly, the center fielder. And I forget the third baseman's name. Dave Hollins. The good, solid veteran guys who put in good careers and were good, solid clubhouse guys. And you get those guys, for a song. I mean, you get them for a bargain price at the end of their career in the offseason. You get 3 or 4 good months out of them, and then you turn them into Joe Mays, and Joe Mays gives you a solid number 3 starter for 4 or 5 division champions, whatever the hell it was. And it's stuff like that. He was very good at creating something out of nothing, and people have to know that he handed this thing off in good fucking shape. And God bless Bill Smith. I love Bill Smith. He's a nice guy. And maybe he was put into the worst situation in the world because you just weren't going to get what you wanted for Santana. But you couldn't make that trade. I mean, if it just come down to Gomez and then just a bunch of shit behind him. Then you keep Santana for that year, and you make him run at the World Series. And if you say, "See ya, now enjoy your free agency," I'd take that 1 year of Santana, which was a division-winning year for the Twins. It was a playoff year for the Twins. Without him, you put him on that team. Who knows what happens? Mm-hmm. I'd take that 1 year with Santana over many years we could have had with Cargo or I know that we got. The shortstop.
There's a pitcher in there too.
Oh, we got
right? Umber or something.
But, yeah, but they were crap. I mean,
yeah.
But we got JJ. We turned Gomez into JJ Hardy, who was a fantastic player for us. But then that didn't last.
Wasted him.
And then Gomez went to Milwaukee, became an all-star jackass. I mean, he's the weirdest all-star ever. But he's got all the talent in the world. But he's just an absolute idiot. But the bottom line is. The things that are wrong with the Twins today are still a result of the years that they were set back during Bill Smith's run. I mean,
how long was it? How long was he in there? 3 years? 4 years?
I mean, the fucking Japanese kid, the second baseman.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean,
I forget about that. I tried to.
I mean, the Twins decided to make a splash in Asia, and they go and outbid other teams or whatever. They go and they get the kid, and I'm not kidding about this. People really, I don't know if they ever watched him play because he really is I mean, he didn't just come here and shit the bed. He came here and he was who he was. He was a horseshit baseball player.
No, he was awful.
And any baseball guy could have flown to Japan and taken fucking 10 minutes. Like, this guy's not a ball player. I mean,
didn't they buy his rights? I mean, you spent how much money getting that guy?
Well, I mean, he wasn't like Hideo Nomo.
No,
but I mean, there's I forget what they call that when you have to bid on the opportunity.
I want to say they spent $5 million just on that though.
Yeah,
something like that.
Ridiculous.
Which is a small amount of money in baseball, but it
was a ridiculous waste of money, and even worse, just a waste of time. I mean, you're giving away at bats, that you could be using to develop somebody, and you're giving away to a guy who doesn't belong in the major leagues. And anybody who would have flown over and done due diligence and paid attention, and scouted this properly, would have known that. I mean, that's way worse than the Santana trade. I mean, Bill Smith's run here was. David Kahn looks like Peter Ueberroth. I mean, he was incompetent. I mean, just completely.
You had the Timberwolves for a couple of years going, whoa. And that's saying something.
Well, and that's seriously. And Bill Smith is a good baseball guy. I mean, he came up, under McPhail and Gebhardt and Ryan, and that's a great fucking group. I mean, that's just beyond reproach. That group is, and he learned at the heels of some of the best. And and I know Bill. He's a smart guy. He's a bright guy, and he's a good guy. But I mean, those moves, my God. I mean, those are just some epic swings and misses. But we got to get our last break in here. Come back and wrap it up.
Hi, I'm Terry Daniel, and I've been a voice actor in Minneapolis for over 2 decades now. How often are you getting compliments on your voice? Now is the time to do something about it. If you're interested in getting into voiceovers, please contact me via my website at universalvoicetalent.com.
Okay, last year, 2013, I lived just down the road, Pleasant Avenue, just a few blocks here from Uptown Pond, which is right on the corner of Lake and Pleasant. And, there are a couple of times, you just try to get to that next payday, maybe a couple of bucks short. If you've got some items, jewelry, diamonds, electronics, you come down here and they give you a fair price for it, and then you come back a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever, you get it back at a real reasonable price.
So we're very competitive, we hope, on different angles, in different ends, and different articles. Computers, electronics, TVs, jewelry. We buy, we give loans, and we also have emphasis on diamond jewelry too, that we also try and give credit for the best we can. We're specialists in that area also, so it's an all-round sort of combination.
Well, it's a great place. It's a nice, clean place with honest people, and I tell you what, it's got a real family feel to it. As a matter of fact, it's tied into the Strauss family, and I go way back with the late, great Jerry. So, these are people I know and people I trust. You can find them on Twitter, too, by the way. They're at Uptown Pond, and also on Facebook, Uptown Pond and uptownpond.net.
Hi, everybody. This is Alyssa.
And this is Liz.
And we're with the Focus Radio,
where our focus is to bring you resources to grow your business and double your income.
Join us on Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Time. TheFocusRadio.com.
I do want to do due diligence to the NCHC Frozen Face-Off, not just because they are a client of ours, but it is a fantastic event. And it is going to be at the Target Center. It's March 20th to 21st, and they've got some fantastic deals right now. Full session ticket packages for all 4 games start as low as $60, and they will have single game tickets going on sale February 23rd. You can call 1-888-9-AXSTIX, AXSTIX, or go to TargetCenter.com. Go to the Target Center box office. It's going to be a great event. They've also got this fan fest going on. They're going to have live bands. They're going to shut down part of First Ave there, and have bands on the street. We're going to be podcasting live as part of the event. And if you are coming from out of town, which, obviously, the University of Minnesota is no longer in it, so most of the fans who come here are going to be traveling, whether it's from Grand Forks, St. Cloud, Duluth, Miami, of Ohio, Denver University, whatever, you're going to want a hotel room. And obviously, there's a wealth of hotel rooms in downtown Minneapolis. As great as a venue as the X was for these events, downtown Minneapolis has got so much more going on, so many more hotel rooms. And if you go to my Twitter account or my Facebook account, you will find a post or a tweet that shows the NCHC Frozen Face-Off coming March 20th, 21st, and where you can go to book discounted hotel rooms, because the NCHC got together with the Chamber of Commerce and the hotels and put together some packages where folks can get a break on hotel rooms. Just tell them you're coming for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. But you'll see the link on my Twitter account and my Facebook account. Just click on it, and they'll lead you right to discounted hotels, which should be a fantastic, fantastic event.
I can't look up the Mark Craig story. Hey, give me your phone there, Charles. And open it up. You got the Star Trek app, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, open up the Star Trek app. As a matter of fact, just go ahead and do this yourself. You lazy piece of shit.
What do you want me to do?
Well, I got my phone all tied up right now because I had to open it up to my NCHC hockey information to pass some info along to the folks. But
right.
I want you to get to the Mark Craig story, the 3 easy steps to get through the Peterson mess.
Oh, okay.
I'm paraphrasing the headline a little bit because I tell you what. There's been a lot of stuff on both sides of the Peterson thing, and this is just he's been kind of tongue in cheek, and it's kind of a little bit of a fluff piece. But I think this is as fair, even-handed, as and insightful as I've read anything about anything to do with Adrian Peterson in over a year. And it's just as simple as looking at it from every angle, and not just he whipped his kid. Oh, he's the devil. He's got to go to hell. He's done forever. He should never play football again. I mean that's not that far off from the actual reaction. I mean, people wanted to run the guy out of town and never let him play in the NFL again. But there's just some things to remember. And I just think every point that he brings up in this is a good one. And then the first one was just calm the fuck down if you're the fans.
Yeah, breathe.
I mean, the fact that just a single word, uneasy. I mean, well, not only did it would make Lionel Richie, spin in his grave if he were dead, because he's easy uneasy would fuck him up. He's uneasy like a Monday afternoon.
Like a Monday afternoon,
but
not a Sunday morning.
But I mean, just the word uneasy But, I mean, I was so offended by. I mean, I'm on Facebook watching people just destroy Adrian Peterson because he says he's uneasy. Well, you know what? Guess what? Last year he was supposed to serve a 6-game suspension, and his team worked in concert with the commissioner to keep him on the sidelines for 15. And he's a little untrusting of that group right now. That's perfectly understandable. And while he claims to have no bitterness towards the fans, you all wanted this guy hanging from a fucking tree.
Yeah, he has every right to be.
He's got every fucking right. And I mean, we talked about this yesterday. You got every right to be mad at a guy for whipping a kid. You got all the right in the world to condemn that action. You got no right in the world to condemn that man. You got no right in the world to put a label on him saying bad, good or bad across somebody's forehead with a rubber stamp. I mean, who the fuck are you? You just go ahead and judge actions all you want, but if you're gonna attempt to judge Adrian Peterson as a man, then you got to do it based on more than one incident. You got to go back and do the whole fucking picture. I mean, go back and look through his whole entire adult life at the positive things he's done and the role model that he's been. And the charitable work. But no, what you want to do is have the best of both worlds. You want to make a lifetime assessment on a singular moment, and it's such bullshit. But
well, and I think what you're talking about is a lot of people that have these thoughts are the same, that are very Christian, maybe Bible thumpers. Aren't you supposed to hate the sin, not the sinner?
Well, yes, exactly.
And aren't we supposed to forgive? And again, aren't you supposed to help him so he never does this again, and use it as a teaching moment and all that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, and anybody who knows Adrian Peterson knows that he wasn't doing this as some malicious, horrible asshole. He's doing it as an ignorant moron and a bad dad. I mean, he just honestly, this was not somebody who's like nostrils flared and he was, give me a beer, honey, I've had a bad day at work, and I'm going to smack the kid around.
I'm just going to beat the shit out of this kid.
He just is that ignorant. I mean, to be honest with you, he's just an ignorant father. But he's not a bad person. There was a bad thing to do. You've got to be able to draw that line between, is he a bad person or is it just a bad act? And if you want to go ahead and make the assessment that he's a bad person, then you've got to look out beyond that one incident. I mean, don't be afraid to look at the previous 10 years too. I mean, don't be afraid to actually look at the entire picture. And that's what Craig says here is, don't quit overreacting. I mean, the Vikings say they want him back, and we're ready to fucking throw parades. Then a couple of days later, the word uneasy sets everybody into a turmoil, and now you got a WWE moment at a restaurant in Indianapolis. And I mean, for one thing, there's a sign outside of Indianapolis that says no violence allowed. There's no violence in the entire city of Indianapolis. I mean, you're not even allowed to raise your voice unless you're at a sporting event. It's when two guys almost go, shirtless, mano a mano, like WWE at a fancy restaurant, with NFL bigwigs around. It's a big deal. But I mean, now the sky is falling and he'll never play here again. And that's just not true either. I mean, there's posturing, and I know it's obnoxious, and it's already gone to extreme.
I still do get the fan reaction too, though, that it's just shut up and do this behind the scenes. The fact that you're letting your agent go out there and do this, and that the Vikings executives are yelling back, all of it is just bad. It's bad from every angle.
You've got to be smart in how you play things. I mean, and again, I don't mean to compare myself in any way, shape, or form to Adrian Peterson, but there's absolutely no doubt that my sentence was bullshit. But if I would have said at the time my sentence was bullshit, people said, "Well, stop smoking crack," and to an extent they'd be right.
That's true. But
nonetheless, I got like 3 times longer than a current sex offender who's in there right now. A sex offender, a child molester, like he's in there on a 30-day thing.
Jeez.
And I was in there for 8 months because of a 5th-degree possession. So I mean, that is a bullshit sentence, and I could have screamed at the time. What a bullshit sentence! Lindsay Lohan gets 2 weeks and she gets to go out because it's crowded. I mean. But people just said, well, okay, bullshit sentence, we'll stop smoking crack. And so like Peterson, he has been wronged. I mean, there's no denying he's been wronged. I mean, you're supposed to, worst case scenario, face a 6-game suspension for this type of offense, and he had to sit 15 games. And it did seem a little orchestrated. It did seem like it was Goodell getting the backs of some of his owners. They didn't need him playing at the end of last year. It would have done them no good at all. I mean, they didn't want him playing at the end of last year, and they're lying if they say they did. So I mean, he had forces working against him. He had timing that was beyond ridiculous, coming off of not just Ray Rice being an animal, but Goodell being an idiot on top of him being an animal, and then being a liar on top of himself being an idiot, Rice being an animal. I mean, it was a shitstorm.
No, it was the absolute worst that ever could have possibly happened.
So, I mean, it's just. But if you're Adrian Peterson and you've lived 8 pretty exemplary years in a market where you've been the quiet, but strong, voice backbone of this franchise. I mean, he's been everything this franchise could ask. He's come back from injuries, but he's played with a weak supporting casts. I mean, he's done it quietly. He's done it professionally without getting in trouble. Yeah, he's gotten some chicks pregnant. I mean, and he's also taken care of them.
That has been his fault. That has been the one major fault that people at least know of.
But I mean, if somebody wants to live their life that way, they do have the right. It's not against the law.
Not illegal.
It's not against the law to have kids. All right. I mean, it doesn't make.
And I'm pretty sure he's paying for them all. He's not, as far as we know, he's not breaking any laws. As far as
I'm not
concerned.
considered to advocate, absentee, parenting. I mean, it's not ideal. But again, I don't think people have the right to make moral judgments on how people live their lives as long as they're doing it within the realm of the law. I mean,
and if you're going to have an absentee father, which one do you want? The guy who's broke or Adrian Peterson?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you, of course, the answer is I want neither. But
yeah.
if it's one or the other.
But I mean, so if I'm Adrian Peterson, I think to myself, boy, I didn't build up a fucking ounce of credit with these people, with this team, with this fan base. I mean, they think they know I'm not the devil. How do these people not just know that I made a mistake? I mean,
if it's Matt Burke,
if I'm Adrian Peterson, I'm thinking that all the time. I'm like, how's nobody have my back on this? Nobody. I mean, it's not the guy I want people to defend my actions, but somebody should stand up and say, hey, you know what? He fucked up, but he's not a bad guy, and I don't blame him for wondering where that was.
Do you think being in flyover land and white people nation here in the Midwest that has something to do with it?
Yes.
If it's Matt Burke, I think there's a whole these people see themselves in him and go, oh, I've smacked my kid when I shouldn't have, but because he's a black guy from the South.
Yeah, you know what they said? Well, he went to Catholic school. They got the ruler from the nuns.
See,
so that's how they were brought up.
I think there would be a whole different way of looking at it.
But that's so hypocritical because that's how Peterson was brought up in the South. They take a switch.
That's true. That's true.
But anyway, so Mark Craig, his first point out of the three. Don't overreact. I mean, within 2 to 3 days, we went from he's back, he's gone, he's good. I mean, it's like back to week 2, week 3 of the NFL season last year. He's here, he's gone, he's back, blah blah blah. So, but the second point here is, there's all this talk about could they bring him back at the price they have him at the cap number they have him at. And his second point is simply pay the man. And he's so fucking right about this. You gave him that contract with I know how the NFL works. The contracts are not guaranteed. You get as much upfront as you can. You try to spread it out over so many years so you don't, you minimize the cap hit. But when you signed Peterson to this deal, you intended to have him play through it. I mean, you maybe would have, if his career would have started to take a downward turn in productivity or health, then you would have revisited the number. But neither of those things has happened. I mean, he is at the top of his game by all standards.
No, there's no one in the writing of that contract going, these last couple years, though, we probably won't have him.
Yeah.
No, that you're right. They were absolutely planning on having him, and maybe even for a couple more.
And as Mark Craig points out, your quarterback is on a rookie contract for 2 more years. So you're not paying him much. So, I mean, you can afford a little bit more. I know that the other teams out there don't have cap numbers like that on a running back because it just doesn't fit the NFL style these days. And I get that. But when you have a quarterback in a rookie contract, that kind of upsets that a little bit. And if you're gonna bring him back, then bring him back at the number. You don't have to dick around with it. I guess you could approach him on something like this, but how bitter is he going to be about it? You're just going to
after the way he was treating it. It's not like going to Brady and saying, "Hey, can you take a few million less so we can get you some receivers or a lineman or something?"
No, this is bringing a can of gasoline to a weenie roast. I mean, it's just you're just asking for it. So he's dead right, and the man he's earned it. He deserves it. I mean, Jared Allen had a $17 million cap number in his last year with the Vikings. This is a $13 million cap number, and it's obviously a better and more important player,
more valuable player.
So I mean, it's just again good to see things from the other sides. I mean, like somebody getting Peterson's back on a point. Oh, but then he comes right back with the third point. Telling Adrian, a little humility goes a long way. You don't have to get cocky or come off as hurt. And and that's the thing is if you've been wronged, even though you did something wrong, but allowed somebody to have a greater wrong done against you. I mean, not a greater wrong, but a wrong done against you that gets ignored because your wrong was so out there. You just can't. You can't afford to sit there and cry victim.
No, you got to be the bigger guy,
especially when you committed violence against a child. I mean, you've got to say and do all the right things. I mean, you've got to jump through some hoops, and then hopefully there's some sincerity behind a lot of. I mean,
but even if there's not, you have to go through the motions.
Right. But the one point that Mark Craig makes that he and I don't see exactly eye to eye on is he thinks that the Vikings are getting a bad rap in this. They tried to bring him back right away week 2, blah blah blah, which they did. But I mean, what they did get to a point. I don't think there's any denying. The season got to a point, by Thanksgiving at the latest, but probably before then, where the Vikings realized, okay, this is a waste of time. They were in the fringe of the playoff hunt. They'd always win a game or two. They would tease you a little bit. But I think by Thanksgiving, they knew they did not want Adrian Peterson to suit up again this year. It would have done no good. It would have clouded things for this year. Like if he comes out and goes like 500 yards in the last 3 weeks, I mean, it would have they would have been forced to bring him back.
Yep, makes everything more difficult this year.
I mean, they wanted him on the sideline, and Goodell had their back, and he kept him there. And he's you're right. He's got to stay humble, and he's got to pick spots better, and he can't cry victim. But that doesn't change the fact that to a certain extent he has been a victim here, believe it or not, and I do believe the Wolves have perpetrated some of that against him by cozying up to Goodell and getting their boy to keep him out of games for an entire season. But but nonetheless, it's a good, insightful piece by Craig. If you want to check it, it's just these 3 points. It's a kind of a small little fluff piece, but it's. I mean, he's as even-handed and examining this thing from all angles as anybody I've seen do it in the last 12 months. And even if he did it not intending to do it, I mean, I just think it was a well done bit.
Why don't you tell us more about the NCHC before we head out?
Because I'm having a heat stroke. All right, hang on a second. Here.
Well, it's hockey. This should cool you down.
Really,
the thought of it alone.
Well, I'm just pissed off I forgot to take my hoodie off. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's just I know better. I've been here before. But the bottom line is you've got college hockey's best conference coming here for the hockey playoff. That's nothing new because the WCHA came here for their hockey playoff for, 20, 30 years, whatever the hell it was. I mean, I went to Milwaukee a couple years, but, I mean, we're used to this. I mean, college hockey's best conferences play their conference tournaments in the Twin Cities, and then the NCHC is the best, and their tournament, last year, you're looking at the launching of a new conference and a new bid. And I felt so bad for them because every league showcases their conference tournament at the end of the year. And they have the misfortune of having a conference champion, a regular season champion in St. Cloud, lose on home ice and not even get there. Not to mention the geographic advantage that would draw on ticket sales. And we'll rub that in with Motzko tomorrow. Say, what the fuck happened here? But and then of course Duluth, I believe they lost on home ice, I think too, to not get there. And North Dakota got there and they lost in the semi, so they weren't even in the championship game. It's like nothing went right for what could have been a phenomenal. I mean, there's still, I'm sure by other accounts, was a fine event, but I mean, it wasn't what people wanted or expected or could have been. This year's going to be crazy. This year's going to be off the hook because you've got 4 top 10 teams. Last I checked, you got North Dakota, you got Duluth looking really strong. Miami, Ohio. I mean, you got teams that are going to be in position to challenge for the national title. It's going to be very similar to me. What you used to get at the X for the WCHA Final Five, but. Without the Gophers there, that does turn down the volume a little bit because North Dakota people have fewer people to yell at. But nonetheless, I mean, you're going to get good fan bases from a number of teams and quality competition. And if you want tickets, they start at just $60 for the whole package. If you want to get all 4 games, that's where they start them at, and that's pretty good. And February 23rd, as in yesterday, single game tickets went on sale. So then you just go pick out whatever game, whatever session you want. And go to TargetCenter.com, Target Center box office. What's that AXS number? It's 1-888-9-AXS-TIX. That's what it is. 888-9 AXS-TIX. What is AXS? Because you seem to know what that is.
AXS, it's just a ticket service. I think it's like a Ticket King or any of those. It's another service. Or more like, what's the big one? Not Ticket King, but Ticketmaster. I think it's another, maybe even a local one. I don't think so, though. Okay. But well, I bought tickets to them before. So.
Well, we got it wrong, but I just want to say, thanks to Jesse McGovern. God, I forgot what I was going to say.
You just wanted to say...
It was important. Oh, yeah. Folks coming in from out of town. Check, you want to get those good hotel rooms? Tonight, on my Facebook and on my Twitter, tonight on those accounts, I'm going to put up the links to get tickets and to get these discounted hotel rooms downtown Minneapolis. So check that out.